On Christmas Eve, I was doing CPR on a dying man in the ER while my daughter was being told there was no room for her at the family dinner table. She was 16. Drove herself there in a sweater she picked out to impress my mom. They let her stand in the doorway and turned her away. No one even offered her a plate. She came home and made herself toast. That night, something in me broke, but I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I responded with silence. And the next morning, my parents found an envelope on their doorstep. Everything changed after that. I was pulling a double shift at the ER on Christmas Eve. It wasn't even supposed to be mine, but Carla had the flu, and her daughter had just flown in from college, so I stepped in. That's the kind of person I am always showing up when no one else will. The shift was brutal. A teen overdosed in her car. An elderly man came in with chest pains but refused to sit still. Then there was a middle-aged guy who kept insisting he was just tired even while his lips were turning blue. I performed compressions until my arms shook. By the time I drove home, it was nearly midnight. My hands were trembling, my back aching. I just wanted to collapse. But when I opened the front door and saw Abby's boots by the entrance, my stomach dropped. She wasn't supposed to be here. She had begged to drive herself to my parents' place this year. Her first Christmas with a driver's license. She was so proud. Wore the soft green sweater my mom once said she liked. She even packed an overnight bag and a tin of cookies she baked herself, peanut butter, her grandma's favorite. I remember telling her to text me when she arrived. She had. At 5:02 p.m. made it love you. So why were her boots here? Then I saw her coat, still damp from the snow, tossed across the arm of the couch. And Abby, curled up on the far end of it. Not asleep, just lying there, stiff like a guest, afraid to get too comfortable. My voice caught. Abby. She sat up immediately. Her face was blotchy, her eyes red. Hey, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Sweetheart, why are you here? She hesitated. Grandma said there wasn't any room. I froze. At the table, she added quickly, like, maybe that would make it better. She said they weren't expecting me, that there were already too many people. She gave a half shrug, then cracked. Her lip trembled. She said they didn't have a bed left either. So I left. I just stared at her. They let you leave alone. In the dark. She nodded once. No one even walked me to the car. I wanted to scream. Instead, I looked toward the coffee table and saw a paper towel with one piece of toast and half a banana. That was her Christmas dinner. I sat beside her, my chest hollowing out. I wasn't that hungry anyway, she whispered, but I could see the hurt crawling up her throat. She fought it, blinked, bit her lip, swallowed hard. It didn't work. The tears came anyway, slow and quiet, like she didn't want to make it harder for me. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders and just held her. I didn't say anything that night, but I already knew what I had to do. I didn't sleep that night, not because I wasn't tired, God, I was, but because every time I closed my eyes, I saw Abby's face, that forced little smile she gave me when I walked in, like she was trying to spare me from the truth. And that paper towel on the coffee table, I couldn't stop staring at it. Cold toast, half a banana, that's what my family thought she deserved. I sat in the kitchen until 3 a.m., just staring. Her bag was still zipped, sitting by the door. She never unpacked, never even took out the small gifts she wrapped for her cousins. I picked one up. Her handwriting on the tag read, "To Noah, hope you like dinosaurs. He's 5. He would have loved it." They didn't even let her in far enough to hand them out. I opened the fridge. It was nearly empty. We hadn't planned a backup Christmas dinner because why would we? We trusted them. And that's what kept scratching at my chest. Not the lack of food, not even the silence. It was that they looked her in the eyes, this sweet, nervous, hopeful girl, and said, "There's no room for you." Not directly, of course. That would require honesty. They said it with tight smiles, with excuses about not enough chairs, with maybe next year tones. But the message landed. Not you, not tonight. I poured a glass of water and sat at the kitchen table, and for the first time in a long time, I let myself remember. When I was 6, I found a dead bird outside and asked if I could dissect it. I was just curious. I wanted to understand how it worked. My mom slapped the kitchen counter and shouted, "Jesus, Emily, what's wrong with you?" Jessica screamed and told everyone I was trying to raise the dead. I got grounded for being disturbing. By middle school, my dad was already joking that I couldn't possibly be his because no daughter of mine would love books and hate beer. I earned straight A's, got a full ride scholarship to medical school. My mom, "You'll probably end up alone. Men don't like women who act smarter than them." I waited tables to pay for things they never helped with, pulled double shifts, burned out, but still when they needed help with bills, medical costs, rent, I came through. Because that's what family does, right? Even when they never once visited me in the hospital, even when they barely reacted when I became a doctor, I bought them a house, paid the mortgage, covered their utilities, got them on my insurance, and I never asked for anything back, except maybe to love my daughter. Apparently, that was too much. That night, I didn't cry, but I did write a letter. And in the morning, I'd deliver it to the house they called home, the one I paid for. Christmas morning always feels oddly quiet, like the world is still full from too much sugar and wrapping paper. I woke up after barely 2 hours of sleep, changed out of my scrubs, and sat in silence, while Abby slept in the other room, still curled up on the couch. Ben, my husband, had come home just before dawn. I told him everything. He didn't say much, just stood there, lips pressed tight, and asked, "So, what do we do now?" I already knew. By 9 a.m., we were in the car. I was holding the envelope, the letter I'd written at the kitchen table, with my hands shaking, but my mind clear. We didn't speak on the drive over. He rested his hand lightly on my knee, not comforting exactly, more like grounding wire, and somehow that was enough. When we pulled up, there were still cars in the driveway, Jessica's SUV, Uncle David's beat-up van. Someone was still inside. Ben looked at me. "You sure?" I nodded. They don't deserve a second more of pretending. I stepped out. My boots crunched on the frosty gravel. I walked up to the front door and tucked the envelope between the frame and the storm door, just where it wouldn't blow away. I turned to leave, but then I heard it, the creak of the screen door. And then, Emily. I turned. My mother stood in the doorway, wrapped in one of her fuzzy Christmas robes, holding the envelope like it was radioactive. She tore it open and began to read. Her face paled. Then, "Carl," she screeched, her voice cracking. "Get out here! She's kicking us out!" Dad appeared in yesterday's clothes. What the hell? Jessica followed, still in her candy cane pajamas, holding a half-empty mug of coffee. "What's going on?" she asked sleepily. My mother jabbed her finger down the driveway like I was a raccoon caught in their trash. "She's evicting us. Ungrateful little—" I didn't stay to catch the rest. Ben and I got in the car and pulled away before their shouting could reach the second verse. By the time we got home, my phone was already buzzing. First call ignored. Second ignored. The sixth one I answered. "How dare you?" my mom shrieked. "You've lost your damn mind." I held the phone away from my ear, but I could still hear my dad in the background, bellowing, "If you do this, you're no daughter of ours." Not once did they mention Abby. Not once did they ask what happened. Why did she come home? Just rage, accusation, entitlement. Jessica texted next. "This is going to ruin your reputation. Think of your career." One cousin even wrote, "Not my place." But this feels extreme. You only get one mom. Right. One mom who turned away her granddaughter on Christmas. I didn't respond. They weren't calling to understand. They were calling because they thought I was bluffing. But this time, I wasn't. The knock came the next morning. I looked through the peephole already knowing. There she was, my mother, still in that ridiculous fuzzy robe, clutching the eviction notice like it was a betrayal scrawled in blood. I opened the door, but I didn't invite her in. She didn't wait. "You're really doing this," she hissed. "After everything we've done for you." I blinked. "You mean the house I bought for you? The mortgage I've paid for the past 7 years, the utilities, the insurance, the dental work, that everything." Her lips twitched, but she recovered quickly. "We raised you. We gave you everything." I took a breath. "You didn't even let my daughter eat dinner." That finally shut her up briefly, but only briefly. "Oh, don't be dramatic," she snapped. "There weren't enough chairs. There were too many guests. You know how cramped it gets." "There were 28 people there," I said. "You made room for 2 cousins I haven't seen in a decade. You made room for the neighbor, but not your granddaughter." She didn't like that math. Her face tightened. Then she did something that honestly felt theatrical. She held up the eviction letter and ripped it in half, right down the center. There she said, "That's done." Like she had just nullified the entire legal process with one dramatic gesture. "And if you want forgiveness," she added, "you'll pay for Lily's science camp and drop this tantrum." I swear to you, she smiled, like that was a reasonable offer. I didn't respond. Because right then, in that moment, I realized something awful and freeing all at once. They'd never taken me seriously. Not when I was a little girl who asked too many questions. Not when I studied blood flow at dinner and got grounded for being weird. Not when I put myself through med school working graveyard shifts while they never even visited. Not when I became a doctor. Not even now. They still thought I was the same awkward, science-obsessed girl, hungry for scraps of their approval. And maybe I had been for a long time, but not anymore. So I let her walk off the porch, muttering about family loyalty and ungrateful children. I didn't follow. I didn't call after her. I just closed the door softly. And then I called my lawyer. "I need this formalized," I told him. He didn't flinch. 60 days. 60 days. The notice went out that same week. Signature acquired, stamped certified, unrippable. And this time, they couldn't tear it up. But that didn't stop the calls. Didn't stop Jessica from texting, "This is tearing us apart." Didn't stop my cousin Eli from writing, "They're saying you abandoned them." But I stayed quiet. Because I finally understood something. I hadn't broken this family. They did. I just finally stopped taping the cracks. 3 days later, someone knocked again. This time it wasn't my mother. It was Aunt Margaret, the good aunt, the one who sends you Hallmark cards on your birthday and signs them with way too many exclamation marks. She stood on my porch with a tin of cookies and that rehearsed "I'm not here to take sides" look. "Emily," she said softly, "can we talk?" I let her in. We sat in the kitchen, the same kitchen where Abby's cold toast had sat 3 nights earlier. I poured tea for both of us. Neither of us touched it. She began, voice gentle, "This doesn't sound like you." I said nothing. "Throwing your parents out over a misunderstanding." There it was. That word. Misunderstanding. I laughed once, not kindly. Then I told her everything. About the house, the mortgage, the bills, the Christmas dinner that wasn't, the 28 guests including 2 people I barely remembered, the neighbor, the lack of food, the look on Abby's face when she said they didn't have room. Aunt Margaret paled. "I didn't know," she whispered. "They didn't tell me any of that." "Of course not," I said, "because if they did, you might have agreed with me." She looked down, fingers wrapped tight around the mug she wasn't drinking from. I thought you were overreacting." They made Abby feel like a stray dog, I said quietly. At Christmas, and no one, not a single person, asked why she left. A long silence. Then you're right. I looked up. Her eyes were glassy. You're right, Emily, and I should have checked. She left a few minutes later, her cookies untouched. 3 days after that, I got a text from her. I didn't understand, but I do now. That was all it said. But it meant more than every empty apology my parents never sent. A week before the eviction deadline, my lawyer called. They haven't moved at all. Then we proceed, I said without hesitation. That same day, I put the house on the market, priced it fairly, no vengeance. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure. A family made an offer 2 days later. They loved the neighborhood. Only one condition: vacant possession. My real estate agent looked at me. They want the house cleared out before closing. Understood, I said. And I meant it. I didn't go on the day they were removed. I didn't need to see it. But I heard it wasn't pleasant. And what came after, that was even worse for them. Jessica, dear golden child, Jessica took them in. Of course she did. She loves playing the martyr. For about 3 weeks. Then the phone rang. She showed up on my porch. No call, no warning. Jessica. Her hair was pulled into a frazzled bun. No makeup hoodie, half-zipped eyes, bloodshot like she hadn't slept in days. I can't do it, she said, skipping any kind of greeting. I didn't say anything, just leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. They're driving me insane, she continued. Mom says the living room is too cramped. Dad complains my kids are too loud. They won't share a bathroom and they bicker nonstop. I swear to God, it's like living in a sitcom except no one's laughing. I raised an eyebrow. You took them in. She exhaled, frustrated. I thought it'd be temporary. You thought wrong. She stared at me, her expression shifting, confused, then pleading. Look, they just need a place, a rental, something small. Can't you just help with the deposit? I mean, you have the money, right? I blinked. That same old script. You have the money. You can fix this. Again. No, Jessica. Her mouth opened like she couldn't believe what she just heard. You saw them turn Abby away, I said. You stood there, did nothing. That was your choice. I stepped back, still holding the door. This is mine. Her face hardened. So that's it. You're cutting us all off. I nodded slowly. Boundaries aren't cruelty, Jess. They're survival. She didn't argue. Not really. She turned around, walked back to her car, and slammed the door, harder than necessary. I watched her drive off faster than she needed to. A week later, she kicked them out. I didn't ask for details, but word spread quickly. They moved into a tiny rental on the edge of town. 2 rooms, a crooked porch, 1 space heater, no cable. The vacations they used to brag about gone. The anniversary cruise they'd planned for next spring forgotten. They started calling the rest of the family, painting me as cold, ungrateful, emotionally unstable. Said I threw them out with no warning. That I'd changed. But here's the thing. I'd changed the second I saw Abby sitting alone eating toast on Christmas Eve. And I wasn't going back. I quietly sent a few cousins the actual documentation. Mortgage statements, utility records, even a scanned copy of the eviction letter, time-stamped, notarized. One cousin replied, "Wow." Another just sent a thumbs-up emoji. No one offered to take my parents in. No one blamed me anymore. And me, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel cruel. I just felt done. The only thing I cared about was Abby. And for the first time in years, I finally knew how to protect her. 2 months later, Abby and I sat on our front porch with glasses of iced tea legs tucked under a blanket. There was no music playing, no forced smiles, just peace. She was reading something on her phone, college emails probably. She'd been accepted into her top choice, a biology program with a lab component she was ecstatic about. The tuition covered thanks to the sale of the house I once gave away for free. You know, she said suddenly, without looking up, I don't miss them. I turned my head slowly, me neither. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. For a second, just one small second, I almost didn't check it. But curiosity won. The message read, Hope you're proud of what you've done. I deleted it without hesitation. Abby glanced at me. Them again? I nodded. They'll probably text again. They always do, I said, smiling faintly. But they're not my problem anymore. She took a deep breath and leaned back into her chair. You know what's weird? She asked. I used to think I had to try harder. Like, if I brought the right cookies, wore the right sweater, acted polite enough, maybe Grandma would like me. I didn't answer right away, because I had thought the same thing for years. If it makes you feel better, I said quietly, I used to think if I achieved enough doctor, homeowner, provider, they'd finally see me. She looked over. Did it work? I laughed. Nope. Abby paused, then gave me a tiny smile. I'm glad you chose me. I didn't expect the tears that came. They weren't loud or dramatic, just warm, cleansing. I reached over and held her hand, always. That Christmas was the end of something, not just the end of being taken for granted, the end of tap dancing for approval that was never coming. It was the end of silence and the beginning of boundaries. I don't send money anymore. I don't respond to guilt texts. I don't attend the performative family dinners where I'm the outsider in my own story. I don't let anyone near Abby who ever made her feel small. They once told her there was no room for her at their table. Now, there's no room in our lives for cruelty control or conditional love. Fast forward 2 years, my parents are still in that crumbling rental, still whispering to anyone who will listen that I'm the villain. Let them. Abby's thriving. She's safe. She knows her worth. And me. I finally chose the daughter I once hoped my parents would choose for me. But sometimes, late at night, I still wonder, did I go too far? Or did I finally go far enough I never thought choosing my daughter would mean losing my parents? But maybe that's the truth no one wants to admit. Sometimes protecting your peace means breaking the patterns that broke you. For years, I gave and gave, hoping they'd finally see me. They didn't, but Abby did. She saw the long nights, the sacrifices, the way I never said no even when I should have. And when they told her she didn't belong, I realized I had to choose. And I chose her. No more silent tolerance. No more begging to be loved the right way. We created our own table. One where love isn't conditional and kindness isn't rationed. But still, a part of me wonders, am I wrong for cutting them off completely? Would you have done the same if it were your child? Tell me in the comments, what would you do in my shoes? And if stories like this resonate with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful revenge stories that hit where it hurts and heal where it matters.